What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Brave and Faithful podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Raiden Dinicio, and today I have an Air Force veteran. He was an optometrist in the Air Force, and he's also the founder and CEO of Rent to Retirement. Rent to Retirement is a real estate investment strategies to maximize your profits. I have none other than Zach Lemaster. What's going on, Zach?
Hey, Redden, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on here and taking the time. Before we get started in talking about rent to retirement and what y'all are doing over there, can you just share with our audience a little bit about your service? I mentioned you were in the Air Force as an optometrist. Just share with us a little bit about your service, how long you were for, and some of the things that you took away from the service.
Sure, yeah. I was active duty for about 7 years. I joined right after optometry school, so I was on an HPSP scholarship, health professions scholarship program. So that's where they pay for a certain percentage of your professional schooling, and then you owe them so many years after. And then I stayed, longer than that. So yeah, I was a captain in the Air Force, commissioned. I was in Grand Forks, North Dakota for the majority of the time. Also spent a brief period of time in Landstuhl over in Germany. That's the main military base. It's actually an army base, but main military base for European and Middle Eastern forces. So that was a very interesting experience. And then after the Air Force, I transitioned into private practice, where my wife and I, she's also an optometrist. So we owned private practices for optometry in Colorado, and then actually transitioned out of that to be professional real estate investors as we built our business and our passive income portfolio. As far as the service goes, I enjoyed my time in the Air Force. I think there's a lot of things to take from the military. I didn't enjoy everything, of course. I think, there's a lot of things you pick and choose, just like anything in life, of things that you can apply to other areas of your life. So obviously, things like structure and organization. Sometimes the government can be overly organized where it's actually inefficient. But, it was very interesting to kind of go into the mindset. And we applied this mainly to real estate investing, where you were traveling all over different places. You're not stuck in a location for very long. And that kind of allows you to have the mindset of being open-minded to running a business, or in our case, particularly investing in real estate in different locations and building teams and systems to do that. Because we built, our business while I was in the Air Force, and built our own investment portfolio in different locations. And a lot of people have the challenge of trying to be just focused, I think, in investing or whatever you're doing just locally. And that kind of gave us that immediate mindset of being able to focus in different areas, because you're not in a location for very long when you're in the service. So that's probably the biggest thing for us.
In the beginning, you mentioned HPSP. I've heard that service before. Can you just briefly talk about what that is and how? I'm pretty sure, from what I've known, it's mainly for civilians who want to go into the service, mainly targeting, right?
Yeah, this is mainly for doctors. So doctors, dentists, physical therapists, optometrists, anyone that's
Specialties.
right. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's called the Health Profession Scholarship Program, and this is where you are a civilian in school already, and you apply with the service. And each branch has their own variances of this, but it's all HPSP. And for certain, you owe them a certain number of years based on how much of your professional school they're going to pay for. In my case, I got eighth. I only had a 2-year scholarship. Most people try to shoot for a 4-year scholarship. So they paid for 2 years of my optometry education, and then I owed them 3 years after completion of that.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because that's not a very known program that people take advantage of. So if anybody would be interested, make sure you go look that up. So you mentioned also after you get out, you did practice. You had optometry, you and your wife. How long did you do that for before you went full in on real estate investing, and how did that lead to rent to retirement?
Yeah, that was a transition of about 5 years when we were practicing. We worked in multiple settings. We owned private practice and also worked in private practices. And I I think a lot of people want to do the business side of it where you own the practice, but it's actually it's very challenging because at least in a lot of healthcare settings, you're trying to run a business, but you're also seeing patients every day, right? So you're kind of wearing two hats, and it becomes a challenge to do that, and it's quite exhausting. So we did that for about 5 years, but my true interest, and I'm passionate about helping people see and eye care, and we still operate in a volunteer basis. Today, I still keep an active license. I don't practice optometry anymore, beyond just a volunteer setting. But more importantly, on the real estate side, we were very interested in real estate from an investment perspective. Just we like the idea of passive income and owning a physical asset that you can use leverage to acquire, have cash flow appreciation, have the tenant paying the loan down for you over time. There's tax benefits and depreciation and things that, it's that really can help you excel your overall investing over time. And so even, I mean, we can talk about the VA loan because that's a huge benefit
Right.
that, military members get. That's the best loan out there. It's no money down. You don't have any mortgage interest. You can have multiple VA loans at one time. I mean, that's a common misconception, is that
Yeah.
people think you can only have one. It's for a primary residence. So our first investment property that we bought was a duplex. We did house hacking where we lived in half of it, rented out the other half, ended up moving out of that after 3 years, and then rented out both units. That was a successful rental. And then we continued to buy more rental properties over time. And eventually we got to the point where we were a little bit more strategic in our investing by investing in different locations where there was more opportunity. So same thing we do today with our business. We focus on markets that have appreciation, landlord-friendly legislation, low taxes, population and economic growth, good cash flow analysis. And so those are the areas we want to focus on. And that allowed us to basically replace our active income as optometrists to the point where we didn't have to work in that career field. And then that's where rent to retirement was kind of born, as a simple fact that a lot of people saw what we were doing and able to leave our professional career paths by investing in real estate. And this started out with friends and family and colleagues, and they're just like, we want to invest as well, but we don't have the knowledge, the time, the know-how, how to do this, and so we walk them through our process and have them invest with us. And that kind of allowed us to see the demand that is out there. There's a lot of people that want to learn about real estate, invest in real estate. They want to diversify and invest in markets they're not local to or they're not familiar with. And that's exactly what our business does. We help investors build a rental portfolio in different markets where it's going to allow them to be set up for success long term, just like we have done.
I want to cover something you mentioned earlier. You said you started investing in real estate while you're still active duty in the Air Force. A lot of my friends and a lot of the military members have seen what investing in real estate can do for you, right? Financial wealth, cash flow, and things like that. For those that might be interested and they're still active duty or they might be transitioning out, tell us a little bit about, like, how did you handle the time management while you were in the Air Force active duty, and also kind of like on the side still investing in real estate?
Yeah, I think for us, actually, I had more time when I was in the Air Force because trying to work in in healthcare is a little bit different, I think, especially if you're owning a private practice. It's not like your strict hours, you're 7:30 to 4:30 or whatever. It's
patience, patience.
right. And you have a lot to deal with after hours that you take home with you. Yeah, a lot of times in the military, and I think people may take this for granted a little bit or not realize that in the civilian world, yes, you can have a 9 to 5, but there's a lot of things, a lot of businesses and positions that require more time involved. So it was rather easy for us to balance our time in the Air Force with building another business and investing in real estate, simply because patient care was done at the end of the day. Of course, there's drills and things that require additional hours, but actually, I think it's being in the military is a pretty good balance of being able to have a personal life as well as doing something in addition, having an additional stream of income or trying to build a business. Of course, if you're deploying and you're 24/7 and committed to doing stuff, that could be challenges at time, but you just got to work around that.
Yeah, most definitely. Time management is key, no matter what you're doing, right? Whether you're in the military or a business owner and things like that. Um, so you mentioned you got started in real estate while still active duty. What did you first get into? Was it just straight rental? Did you have a primary that you rented out initially? Did you go into flipping, wholesaling? Like, tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I mean, that what I was talking about with the VA loan or primary residence was the first investment property we had. I considered an investment property because we had income on it. You know, I think you can buy a primary residence and they can appreciate over time, but truly to be an investment property, I would consider something that has rental income on it. And so that's what we did. We used a VA loan to buy a duplex. You can use a VA loan to buy a single family or up to 4 units of a multifamily. You have to have the intention to live in that property for at least the first year. And that's what it's just like FHA or any other conventional loan that you qualify for. So that's the first property that we bought. And then, like I said, we moved out of it and then rented out the other unit and kept it as a rental for many years. And then we just started to buy more rentals. We like the idea of passive income and, you know, additional streams of income. And so that was in the very beginning. Over time, as we became more active investors, we built a flipping business. A large part of that was wholesaling. I mean, we still do all of that today. I had a property management company that I operated for many years and then since sold that and transitioned out of that business because management is an extremely challenging business to run. You know, but that's basically what our business models has been with rent to retirement. We find and analyze markets where we can have the best investment opportunity and go in and build our own portfolio where we can buy or build. We do a lot of new construction, lease and professionally manage rental properties that we can then in turn sell some of those to our clients that also want to have a passive income property in these different locations. So it's grown over time, but I mean, yes, it started with just that first VA loan, duplex, you know, rented out half of it.
And just how long you been investing in real estate? And when did you start rent to retirement after that?
Yeah, so rent to retirement, I believe this is our ninth year actually coming into 2021 was our ninth year in business. I mean, we've been investing in real estate for probably about 15 years, you know, since we
Wow.
actually bought that first duplex. But I mean, we've been selling turnkey and doing that sort of thing before many years before rent to retirement was even founded, you know. And again, our business model is to help investors build their own portfolio. So we were doing that with friends and family and colleagues already. You know, that's just when we took the extra step of basically, you know, making this a legitimate business where we can open it to up to other people and scaling beyond just our immediate network.
Okay. So I did have a question with some of our audience that might be in different stages in their investing, real estate investing, right? There might some be beginners, some have multiple properties yet. Um, but my question is, how did you know to transition from one um, real estate investing? Like, how do you transition from, okay, this time I'm gonna be flipping, and then next time I'm gonna be wholesaling? How did you move from those different types?
Well, it's not a clear cut. We're going to do this or this. It's all on a case by case basis, and those are all potential exit strategies. And we still have all those available that we operate in today. I mean, it's not either or. It's what exit strategy or what is the long term plan for a specific property. If it's a property that has excellent cash flow and it's an area that we want to grow our portfolio, we will hold the house in our own portfolio and it'll be a long-term rental. And then at some point, you know, we'll probably want to sell it. We usually hold properties for 3 to 6 years because I think that's where you get the best value on resale with appreciation, debt pay down, and, you know, not having too many capital expenditure fixes to be coming up over too long. But anyways, to your question, you know, when you find a good deal, right? If we find a property that's undervalued, a lot of the rehab stuff that we do that's not new construction is a distressed property. This is a property that's bound, you know, the owner's behind on taxes. They could be going to foreclosure. It could be a vacant property that needs $40,000 of repair, but you're able to buy it at a discount because of that. You know, it's foreclosed at the auction or something like this. So when you acquire that property and you're running your numbers, you look at what are the options for an exit strategy. And so you can either take that project on and do a flip yourself with it if you have the ability to finance that and you have the time and knowledge to do that, you can do that, or you can just get that property under contract and sell it to another investor. If you're not going to take it on, so that would be a wholesale transaction. If you just sell the contract, that property, or you could do the work and hold it as a property in your own rental portfolio. And those are all viable options. We still do each one of those today. So it's really about the property and the situation behind it, and what makes the most sense. And this also applies to some of our new construction. If anyone looks at our website or sees some of the investment opportunities that we have available, one of the most attractive investments is some of the new construction that we do in Florida. And you have all those same options available as well. We have a 4.2, 1,600 square foot new build property in Cape Coral that's in an A-class area. Those are selling right now for about $275, and they're appraising at $330 to $340.
Wow.
And so our investors are able to get into a brand new built house with immediate equity. And so when you have that immediate equity, and the property is still cash flow, by the way, I mean, these are still renting out for $2,200 a month on new construction. You can cash out, refi, and pull some of that equity out to reinvest. You can sell to an end user and basically flip a new construction for a large profit margin. You can keep it in your own rental portfolio. There's a lot of different exit strategies, and that's the same thing we apply to any deal that we come across.
Yeah, I think also to add on to that, right? I think it just comes down to how much time and effort you could put into investing in real estate. Like where you at in your career, like if you don't have much time, maybe try going into, new build or something that you can, don't have to manage too much. Whereas if you do have some time, maybe flipping and wholesaling, because that takes a lot of time out of your day, right? Like in doing those things.
Yeah, and I think that's the benefit to turnkey investing is a lot of people don't have time. I mean, we're all limited by our two biggest limiting factors in life, I think, to grow a business or a large portfolio of rental properties is time,
Yeah.
and also capital. You got to have money to invest as well. Even if you're creative and look at different strategies with, seller financing or whatever the case is. But I think that's why turnkey investing is attractive to someone that's newer to investing or that has limited time and wants to still grow and scale their portfolio or diversify in these different locations, is because we already have a system in place, right? You're buying a fully renovated or newly built property that's going to be in a good market. We have our managerial team set up in place. So it's really hands off. I mean, you can learn the process, and you can also learn from experienced investors throughout the process like ourselves. But you're not having to take the time and energy and risk of doing it all on your own. You can buy a property that's going to provide good cash flow, and it's going to set you up for success in the very beginning versus trying to go through those obstacles. And I think that's what appeals to a lot of people with our type of business model.
Yeah, so that's a great point, Zach. So you mentioned 9 years in business with rent to retirement. What would you say has been some of the most difficult, challenging experiences you've had, and what are some of the rewarding moments or experience you've had?
Oh man, it's hard to pinpoint just one or two to talk to, because it's like sometimes on a daily basis there's challenges,
Yeah.
but it's real estate is a dynamic world. I mean, there's always inherent risks with any type of investment, of course, and real estate is no different. I mean, you're housing people. This is a people business, so you can have challenging tenants. You may have to evict tenants. We own quite a bit of commercial property as well, like retail centers. I have a tenant right now that's filing bankruptcy, and that's a challenge. So there's numerous challenges. I mean, we can always talk about the challenges, but at the end of the day, it comes back to there's always a solution as well. And you just have to, I think, being networked with the right people and
Right.
being very solution oriented is the way to overcome any obstacle. Because so many people, I mean, some of our investors too, they have a tenant that's not paying, and they get frustrated and they focus on that, where it's like, okay, that's part of the game sometimes. That's why it's good to have multiple investment properties. That way, if you have one tenant that's not paying, it's not that big of a deal. Your portfolio supports it, but it's like, what is the plan? We go through the process, and we try to mitigate a lot of these risks by having a system in place to deal with those issues when they arise. But I mean, there's a lot of challenges sometimes on a daily basis, but it's just getting up every morning, being solution oriented, and knowing that you're going to figure out a solution to any obstacle that you encounter. On the rewarding side, big picture probably is a simple fact that through real estate investing, we've been able to create a lifestyle that we wouldn't have otherwise had. I enjoy optometry and helping people see. I didn't want to do that till I was 65 or whenever, So, we've been able to create financial independence through real estate investing, whether I'm here in the office and working or traveling with my family. We're still earning income on our rentals, right? And those
Right.
properties are going up in value. The tenant's paying the loan down. We get tax benefits and depreciation. We do a lot of creative stuff on tax strategy now through real estate, where we have high income, but we pay very little taxes on it because that's the benefit of owning real estate. It's just, and I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about helping other people do the same thing. So I guess the two biggest rewarding things for me throughout this business has been the ability to create a lifestyle and a future for my family that we likely wouldn't have otherwise had, in addition to helping other people do the same thing. That is very rewarding when we have investors that are successful and can get to accomplish their goals, and we're able to help them expedite their goals or find new strategies to accomplish their goals that, in a timeline they wouldn't have otherwise done, or even take their goals to the next level. That's very cool to see. And when people are excited about that, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, uh, key thing you said there was networking, right? It's not as much as what you know, it's a matter of who you know. And in real estate, yeah, there's going to be a lot of problems, but I think it's, you're always those problems, even though if you might not solve it yourself, there's somebody in your network that might have a solution to those problems. So
Networking is huge. It's a people business, 100%. And the network and the people that you surround yourself with. There's the famous quote about you being the accumulation of the 5 people you surround yourself
right.
with the most. I don't remember who said it, but that's very true. And the network is extremely powerful. And the people you surround yourself with is probably going to determine your success significantly more than any one investment that you're going to make over time, any property that you're going to buy. That's important to focus on. And so again, going back to the turnkey side, I think tapping into a business model where you're already surrounded by professional investors that can guide you through the process and help you strategize, that's going to expedite your success beyond, trying to go through it on your own. And that's a huge benefit, is having that immediate network.
Yeah, and also, talking about networking, can you just elaborate more as far as what services Rent to Retirement provides other than, cash flowing, passive investing, real estate? What are some of the other services that you all provide that goes along with that business?
Sure. We try to help investors build a comprehensive business plan. We're not just selling real estate. We do
Right.
sell real estate, right? But it doesn't stop there. We want to create long-term partnerships and relationships with our clients where we can help you at a high level build a very successful business. Because when you're buying investment properties, you are building a business, make no mistake. So in multiple businesses in different locations, there's a lot of working parts to that on the financing, the tax, the legal, the accounting side. So there's a lot of things to be aware of. And so we try to build a comprehensive business approach with all of our clients, where we have, on the very beginning, we have a consultation with everyone that's interested to work with us to identify your personal investment goals, criteria, your timeline, your resources, and then look at different markets and investment strategies that are going to help you accomplish your goals. And so we're looking at different markets, doing some analysis with you, and really creating a business plan and strategy on what's going to allow you to be the most successful with, given the information that you provide to us. We have real estate specific attorneys and CPAs that can set up legal entity structures. We have a lot of questions about, do I need an LLC, and how should that be structured, especially in different states? How does the tax side work? Am I taking full advantage of the taxes in real estate investing? And so we have all these professionals to help you build a comprehensive approach, as well as kind of walking you through the strategy process behind that.
That's great to hear, man. Zach, a lot of our listeners are, like I mentioned before, veterans, active duty. What are some actionable steps that you can provide for them? They might just be, they're interested in starting real estate. They're in the beginning phases of their real estate investing. What are some actionable steps that you can give them right now in pursuit of that?
Sure. First thing is education, always. But I personally think that people get stuck in education
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, I think true education comes from hands-on experience and actually doing it. So investing in real estate is the best way to learn real estate. You can read as many books and online forums and blogs and listen to as many podcasts as you want. But at the end of the day, you got to have knowledge without action is useless. So you got to apply that knowledge. And I think actually investing in real estate is the best thing you can do. Many of us have read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. If you haven't, highly recommend that. Is a very fundamental book. I mean, it's all mindset. Yes, it mentions real estate, but it's just about investing mindset, and that's a huge game changer for a lot of people. Is just changing that mindset initially. So that's a potential action step one if someone's just getting started. Other than that, it's creating a plan to buy your first investment property. If you don't have a primary residence, or even if you do, consider maybe looking at taking out some equity from a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, to invest your equity if you don't have capital available, or create a savings plan to build capital, or do some side hustles to have additional streams of income. You got to have money to invest. Typically, if it's not a VA loan, you're looking at 20%. So on our houses, if you're talking $100,000 investment property, that's about $20,000, give or take, to buy your first rental. But start networking, right? Start reaching out, start reading about real estate investing, and then find a way and a plan to actually get started investing. I've seen a lot of military members, especially if they're younger and they come into this as their first career path and they start making decent money. It's easy to spend that paycheck really, really quick. So you see, some of these younger guys that have real fancy cars, and it's clear that their priorities are a little bit backwards. I always support the mindset of buy investments to support your liabilities and your assets. To instead of buying a new car of $20,000 or taking out all the loan to do that, use that $20,000 to buy an investment property that then you can go out and buy the new car with, and then your tenant rent payments will cover your loan on your car, right? And so that's a much better way to do things. So I think those are some pretty actionable steps that most people should think about.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think also the key is, like, especially with the military and veteran community, right? I think we don't have that much experience or education in financial financial education.
Nobody
And
does. It's not traditional, right? Even in just
yeah,
school, no one teaches that.
yeah, I think if we had more of that, um, a lot of people would spend their money wisely and on other things like you just mentioned, just investing, making that money work for them instead of splurging and wasting it eventually.
It's got to be self-taught. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not our traditional educational program, and is teaching financial savviness really in financial education. It's kind of the traditional model of get a job, go to school, get a job, work till you're old and brittle, and then let the government decide when you can take out your retirement. And pensions are a way of the past. Even the military, right? They're starting to get rid of
Right, right.
the pension. Now it's a blended retirement program, and at some point the pension is probably going to be completely gone. In fact, I've kind of lost touch. They were doing the blended retirement program as I was transitioning out. But at some point that's probably not even going to be a viable option, but just frankly because the government has to pay you forever. And the same thing with businesses, that's not sustainable. So that whole model of joining the military for 20 years and having your pension is a good idea while it lasts. I think that's a benefit. But if you parlay that, or look at that compared to buying a few rental properties, you're going to have a hell of a lot larger pension after 20 years than the military will provide.
Yeah, I think I want to say about 5 years ago, close to 5 years ago, is when they started the blended retirement. Anybody that came in after that were automatically enrolled into the blended retirement, because
Sure.
like you said, that the retirement pension and all that, it's kind of like a thing of the past. It's been a thing of the past for a while, and I think we're just catching up to it.
Yeah. And that may be a challenge for the military actually to have longevity. I mean, I've talked to some people that, and the same thing in business as well. I mean, it's more cost effective to have more changeover to, instead of paying veteran people higher
Right.
wages to stay around. Right. So maybe you're going to have less people that are in for 20 years and you have people just doing their four years or whatever the case is and transitioning out. And that's more cost effective from a business perspective. But regardless, I mean, my advice to anyone listening is not to rely on anyone else to provide your financial security and your retirement picture. You got to go out and create your own. Because if you don't, it's nothing is solidified, and that's the only way that you can really ensure that you have financial independence long term.
Great point, Zach. One last question here before we go to our second segment. What's one thing you want our listeners to take away from this episode?
I think really just boils down. We've covered a lot of good points. I think we covered that in great depth, but just take action. I mean, if someone's listening to this podcast, they're already of the mindset that they want to better themselves and better their position personally or financially or whatever the case is, go out and learn and educate yourself on things that you want to, especially in the financial or real estate areas, but ultimately take action. Right? Go out and buy that first rental property. Go out and do it. It's nerve-wracking. I get it. We've all been there. Don't get this analysis paralysis, but you got to be action oriented. And I think the military does help to put people in that mindset. Some people are, and I'm the same way. It's more like ready, fire, aim versus having all the steps and things in place. And that's okay. As long as you're taking action, you're going to be learning along the way.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing is, like you mentioned earlier, right? You can have all the education in the world, but if you don't apply it, then it's useless. The most important thing is take action. Take action every day.
100%.
All right, Zach. So going into our second segment here, this is what I call the Fast Five. The same 5 questions I ask all my guests. So first question, Zach, what's one hobby you enjoy?
We live out in Colorado. We love being outdoors and skiing and being at the lake in the summer. It's a great place to live. We love to travel and scuba dive. My wife and I, for our honeymoon, and this is right after I left the military and didn't commit to any work. We spent 7 months traveling. We hit almost 60 countries during that time. And, that was a lot of fun. We had a few rental properties to support our travel endeavors. So.
Awesome, man. 7 months just traveling.
It was exhausting. My wife did. She wanted to go full year. I started at 3 months. We met in the middle, somewhere around 7 months. So.
Awesome. Next question: if you had to choose one person to hang out with for one day, who would it be and why?
I'm going back to Rich Dad Poor Dad. If I got one day to hang out with somebody, it'd be Robert Kiyosaki. He's, I've never met him, but he's a huge mentor of mine, just behind his mindset, and huge Robert Kiyosaki fan.
And a Marine as well, for those that don't know.
Yeah. I think he's a Vietnam vet or helicopter pilot, right? So yeah.
I think I know where this is going. Recommend a book for our audience to read.
There you go. That's it. Rich Dad Poor Dad. And also the second one to that is Cash Flow Quadrant. That's a great one, to just get you in the investor and entrepreneurial mindset.
Next question, Zach, what's your favorite quote and why?
I think that, I may butcher this, but I believe that Warren Buffett said, invest in what you know and nothing more. And that's not a super profound quote by any means, but it's very simple. We don't do any other investing besides real estate. I don't believe in 401ks. We don't have a 401k. I don't want people telling me when I can take out my money and, taxing me on it based on where I'm at in the future. I want to control my own future. I know real estate has been a proven path for us. That's what we trust, and that's what we know, and that's all we invest in.
Okay, keep it simple. Simple advice.
Yep.
Finally, Zach, where do you see yourself in a year, 5 years, or even 10 years from now?
First immediate year, we're just going to keep cruising, man. We're doing a lot of exciting stuff at Rent to Retirement. We have a great team of about 15 full-time employees, and then we have a much larger network between property managers and contractors in different areas that would go into the hundreds as far as our full network. We're working with many investors, helping them build successful portfolios. We sell anywhere between 60 to 150 properties a month. And we're doing a lot of new construction. Real estate is exciting. It's dynamic. There's always a lot of different opportunities out there for people to invest in. And that's exciting for us to see someone come into our program, learn how to invest. We're not these gurus out there where it's like pay $50,000 to learn about real estate investing at this weekend seminar and get a coach and then have nothing to show for it, right? We don't charge for education, but I think that $50,000 is much better applied to actually owning real estate and learning the process by doing it. So that's exactly what we do. So I mean, we're just going to keep cruising, looking for the next investment market and opportunity. Real estate's a very exciting time right now, and I don't know. I mean, we don't need to be working at this point in time, but we still do because we enjoy this, and so there's in 5-10 years, who's to know? We're going to probably be doing the exact same thing. We just had our first child though about 3 months ago. So, I mean, that could always
Well,
throw
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. That could always throw a wrench in things. So, I mean, we're just, hopefully a year from now, we're getting a little bit more sleep than we are right now. That would be a good thing.
Yeah, I can always use more sleep, man. Zach, I appreciate you for your time. Taking down some notes here. Obviously with real estate, like you just mentioned, it's a people business. And, other than educating yourself, the most important thing that you can do is, like you said, just take action, because true education comes from hands-on experience. Zach, like I said, appreciate you for your time. Before we go, anything that you want to put out there for Rent to Retirement? Where can they follow you all, and where can they support you?
Absolutely. They can visit renttoretirement.com. That's our website that has a lot of great information. That's renttoretirement.com. They can call or text our 800 number. That's 1-800-311-6781 and get in contact with us. I mean, our investment opportunities are public, so anyone can see the different investment properties and options we have. We focus on single family, multifamily. We do commercial, vacation rentals, new construction. There's a lot of different stuff out there to take advantage of across multiple different markets. And, basically if someone's interested in learning more about us or speaking with us, they set up a consultation with one of our investment counselors where they can go through a phone call talking about your goals, your resources and timeline, investment criteria, helping you build an action plan. But then they turn it back over to you and say, okay, here's the steps you got to go through and go get pre-approved, figure out financing, and then let's circle back and put that action plan into fruition. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us at any point in time, and we'd be happy to speak with anyone that's interested to learn about real estate.
Well, Zach, like I said, thank you for the time, and also for sharing your experience and the knowledge that you dropped here today. Hope you all enjoyed. Till then, take care.